Hey everybody, this is Jess with Cosplay for Christ. I am going to show you how I made this Queen Elinor wig from Disney Pixar's Brave. I'm first going to show you what I did to mess it up, and then I'm going to show you how I fixed it. So here we go, check it out. So I started off with your longest Temu brown wig I could find, and I wanted to use pool noodles as the tubes. So I put them with the hair and thought this will work, the thickness is great. So I grabbed some brown acrylic spray paint and sprayed these bad boys, thinking it would be great. Problem is, once it dried, it started flaking. See example A. So my solution to that would be to make a cover out of brown cotton fabric so that it would slide in and just cover it completely. This is the stuff I got from Walmart. So at this point, I didn't have any photos or evidence of this, but I had put the wig on as a sample, and the pool noodles, instead of forming to my body, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking it needed to be thick up here or something, but the problem was it was stiff. It would just stick out, and it didn't look natural at all how hair would actually be. And so I changed my mind. From the pool noodles, I literally threw them out. Waste of $3 and whatever it was for the paint. So threw them out, and I went to process of pillows. So those covers I used for the initial pool noodles, I just stuffed with batting, and those turned out great. I ended up clipping them into the inside of my wig just to see how it would fit, and it looked like the fit would work. I tried it on just to make sure the look was good and it felt natural. Next, I took an old wig that I cannibalized and cut out a waif for the gray streak in Queen Elinor's hair. I ended up sewing it to the inside of the wig, and it was a little bit further back than I liked, but I was going to use it and use a different method in the future. So I went about crimping all the hair is my next step. Go crimp, crimp, crimp. I got cheap crimper off of the internet. And I did a quick test of tying elastic bands to the wig, but I decided through this process I was just going to use hair ties. So the next step was the glue. The very bottom of it, I started gluing all the extra bits of hair that I had to the very bottom of it, so it would just kind of be at the base and layer on top. Those are what they looked like. And then I took wafts of the brown wig and started gluing them from the bottom all the way up till about halfway through the wig. I used Uhu glue to secure it to the pillow and just worked my way up to the top of it. I would use a little hairdryer to kind of help it dry faster, and that helped the work go along. I would brush it in between just to smooth it out, make sure they were evenly getting placed. Next, I decided to make a hair netting for the tubes with some brown tulle. That way they could not get tangled and they would look smooth at the end of the project. Once the two tubes were done, it was time to attach them officially to the wig. I sewed them in using this wig needle. It's like a hooked needle, and this wig thread that came with some of my headsets that I got. And I just tied it and did a hand sew. You could see I just folded the top down to the pillow so they weren't completely closed in. So there's a little space between the flap and the stuffing. And I just hand sewed them into the wig. I used position-wise, it's about halfway up one side. So I flipped some of the hair over. You can see now I'm flipping it back down once I untangle it, and because I didn't want it to be completely under, it needed to be surrounded by hair on all sides so it'd be easily concealed. So you could see that is done there. Oops. Halfway through this, I changed the wig stand, changed the wig head from the cheap styrofoam to an actual wig head. So that's how it's looking for one in. And I could see I'm going to put a hair tie in to secure the one side, but I'm not going to do all the things just yet. So same thing to the other side. This is kind of close-up of sewing it in, just over, under, to the same waif in the wig. This is real time here instead of fast, but we'll speed it up again. This is just so you can see how long the actual process takes instead of the speeded up version of it. A little tedious. Those little hairs kept getting in the way. I had to move them aside. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but this is how I did it, so here we are. And then I just tied it off like a normal knot, how you would finish with sewing. Snipped it out and then smoothed the hair over it to cover it on all sides, just like the other end of it. The back of the head I did kind of a crisscross with the hair so that you wouldn't see the seam, because it wasn't lace all the way down the back. It wasn't made as a pigtail wig originally. So I'm just combing the hair. Lots of combing for this. Lots of recombing and combing again. So this is me going to put in the hair tie for the other side. Again, just trying to combine all the hairs to make them look like it's one big pigtail. And the part pulling the hair through the hair tie was probably the most annoying, because I kept getting nervous that I was going to undo all the things. But really, once I pulled it up, you could just use your hands and use the brush to kind of smooth out the hairs that got kind of wily. I don't know what the word is. But yeah, just a quick little brush through, and then it smooths it out. Now I had to address the gray streak that I didn't like completely. So I used this, it's like a gray wax type thing. And I used it for my husband and my daughter's red hair for when they were King Fergus and Merida. And this is a gray putty, hair putty. And it works really well. You just literally just smooth it in. I got it on Amazon. It was probably around $7 to $9 for the tub, and a little goes a long way. You just smooth it on with your hands, and then you kind of just brush it out, and it stays on there. And it's I don't know, I've used it for personal use. Other colors, they have other colors than gray, but the gray I think turned out really well for what I was needing to do, because I had it right at the lace front, and I want it to look like it's actually coming out from my roots. So there it is. So next, I just kind of styled it, and using the Oohoo hairspray, just trying to style it a bit. At this point, it was kind of pointless for me to do this, because I had to go back and redo all of this after I did the other elastic bands, but I didn't know this at the time, so I was doing my best to make it look pretty. So at this point, I'm now going to start putting in the hair ties, each little bundle. The process is the same for each one. You slide one band in and then smooth it until you get the next one, and try to position it, try to position it as evenly as you can. I would finagle the elastic bands around just like that, just to try to get the hair to look smooth. Now, granted, I'm going to be putting the netting over all of this afterwards, but for me it was important to make sure it was as good as I could get it before the netting, and spray it down so that it was least likely to be crappy later. As you can see, that one I wasn't too happy with. So I did find that if you slide the hairband up above the area you're going and bring it down, it was easier to create that little bundle, that little blobby look. So see, I'm going to bring it back down. And I believe this is real time. I don't think I've sped this up. So I just continued this process of smoothing, putting a band on, then smoothing it out, then spraying it, then combing it over until I had the look that I'm wanting. Lots of brushing. Also, if you notice, I at some point exchanged the styrofoam head for my canvas head, which fit my actual sized head better. So it fit the wig better. It was more accurate to my actual head than the micro girl styrofoam head that I had that kept falling everywhere because it was not securely attached to anything. So I went ahead and went all the way down, doing these little bundles. There's one side, pretty nice. So now I repeat the process for the other side. And what I'm doing right now is trying to get the same look and make it even to match the other side. Again, I didn't realize that I was going to have to go back through and redo all that anyway. So this was it was fine, but I needed to redo all of it after all the bundles and the netting was put on. So this was I don't know if it was a waste of time, but I don't know if I needed to do this at this point with the styling of the way the top of the head flares out. So again, just going back through, doing the bundles, combing, sipping some Coke, a little energy, a little caffeine, and just going through. And it's funny looking at it now, I'm like, oh, that right side is definitely off. Like I should have pulled those down a little bit more, but I don't know, when you're in it and you can't step back and look at it, it's good to like take a pause, step back from your work and just look to see if something is off, because when you're up close, you kind of can't see the full picture, as is life. But yeah, just working my way all the way down. And again, I could see, oh, that one toppled over too. I was pulling too hard. So as I worked my way down to the bottom, when I get to the very last bundle, what I ended up doing is tying it really tight with a final tie. And I'm going to scoot it over. And I ended up just taking some scissors and cutting the excess off at the very end. That way it kind of was like a little nub at the end. And that way it kind of created the look better than if I were trying to tuck the hair underneath it. It was better to just cut the excess hair off of the end. So here I am trying on it for the first time, and it felt really good. It looked and felt like my hair. The only problem was the wig was like wanting to pull back on my head, especially when I did that. So I knew I was going to have to really secure it when I put it on for real. So now I did one side with the ribbon and on the netting. And so I'm going to show you how I did that on this side. So I took the netting and I scrunched it up kind of like a pantyhose or a scrunchie. And I just took it to the base. And again, I was nervous about messing up my hair, but it's okay. I just kind of gently slid the hair down that kind of popped up, and started at the very first hair tie, and then just gently pulled down the netting over all of the hair pigtail. I ended up tucking that excess netting under the hair tie and cutting a little excess off. Here's my ribbon I used. Remnant of Joann Fabrics. God rest in peace, Joann's. So now I just did it was like a tie and then a crisscross. I tied it in the back as a knot and then I crisscrossed. Tied it in the back, crisscross, tied it in the back, crisscross. All the way down. At the very bottom of it, I just wrapped it over and over again with a few rounds, and then there it is. Complete with my crown. Isn't she beautiful? I thought she turned out pretty good. So then here I am wearing the wig officially with the costume. I thought it turned out great. It really complemented my full cosplay look before I had my own hair with extensions, and it was just thinner, and that was really Then nothing is complete without a official photo shoot. So there's Caitlin, my friend, and Okatu Photography, who was amazing. Awesome husband and wife team. Well, that is my wig tutorial on how I made my Queen Elinor wig. I hope that helps you in your future builds or current builds. And this is my first wig project that I've ever really done. Everything else is more, I just put it on my head. So this was the first time I really tried to style and add and shape a wig. Something I didn't have video or anything of is that at the very end, before my photo shoots, I did go through on this wig and used a handheld steamer to smooth out any of the fraying hairs that were on there. Also, like if you saw, I was like pulling this part up. I would pull that up with my comb and I would steam it and then spray it with hairspray so that it would lock in place, because the hair will kind of hold its shape if you put a little heat on it. Make sure you don't do too much heat, because then it'll melt your wig and you don't want to do this. This is not real hair, this is synthetic. So with synthetic, I think it's like 180 or less is what you need to put your heat elements on. But steaming it with a little handheld steamer and then guiding, shaping the crown of it really helped maintain that shape. And so that I didn't have any video or evidence of, because I was trying to do it really quick before my photo shoot. So sorry. Okay, well, that's all I have. If you have any questions or comments about how I did this or whatever, even if it has nothing to do with that, just contact me on any of my socials and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. It's new, so I'm trying to build up whatever, and I'm going to try to put more stuff like this out there for y'all to see. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Guys, have a great day. Bye.